So while Marloes is getting ready, I think I'll just shortly introduce her. I thought it was very interesting, the things I don't know so much about you, of course, but the things I read. Marloes is director of Safe Plastics, and Safe Plastics is an organization or small company, I think, that sees plastic waste not as waste, but actually as a resource, and really want to reuse things for building materials and outdoor materials, I think. And what I was very interested to read about Marloes is that she actually lived in a plastic house also for a while. So, and we invited you today, of course, because these topics are interesting, I hope, for us, and also how you recycle or reuse things. But I just heard that you also do things abroad and international projects. So I hope that's also interesting for us. So thank you that you're here today. Thank you so much. Yeah.
Hello, good morning to you all. Happy to see you. Thank you for the invitation, Natasha, and you could not make us more happy than to be here in a room with all these different cultures. And we even brought our own team from Kurdistan, Iraq. So we are very happy that you are here. We trained them this week to become an operator in our green plastic factory. So. And we are going to tell you something about establishing green plastic factories. And we do this all over the world. And we call it local for local because we work together. And we truly believe that if you connect together and combine all qualities, then you can really make a huge impact. And what we do is we create jobs. We do technical capacity building, climate change education, waste management awareness, and fostering social cohesion, very important, between government and the people who live there. And we do that with education and awareness programs. And I was looking at, because I really was inspired by the name of Egalitarian, and it's so like we are also believing in or based on the principle that all people are equal and deserve equal rights and opportunities. And this is really where we stand for. We is mainly us, my husband Bram and myself. Bram has an environmental background and I myself have a social background, and we have our company Safe Plastics for over 40 years now. So we started as a small startup 40 years ago and still living in a not easy branch, also in the Netherlands, to survive. Only 2% of all the startups at this moment survive, and we believe that we do this because of we working together with all kinds of nationalities and companies. So in the meantime, we have 5,000 projects in the Netherlands, more than 75 million plastic saved from the incineration. So, and more than 42 million CO2 prevented. Why? Together we create a livable world where we reuse plastic waste. And what we do is we reuse plastic household waste. How do we do this? We do this with our machinery and social approach. You save local plastic waste from the oven or the incineration and nature, and creates awareness for communities. What do we do? And then you turn them into useful products, I can show you later, for outdoor space, and we try to create a better world with it. Our mission is our heart. And also we know, and I believe all of you know, that our consciousness is growing. But the earth is struggling, and we all want to be significant. And yet there are still many, many challenges all over the world, especially with plastic waste. We have been to places and in many places all over the world. I don't know how it's in your country, but there's a lot of plastic waste in nature, in the oceans. And the Green Plastic Factory offers a solution. And you can see in the drawing, the images to the left, what we do. The plastic waste on the upper left side, we collect it together with the people we work with, the companies we work with, the governments we work with, and we bring it to the Green Plastic Factory, and the Green Plastic Factory makes new products out of it. In this way, we contribute to the environment, and waste plastics becomes value again. And this is very important because we have a big legacy of plastic waste. And we can use it to build new products like benches, poles and planks for bridges, walking paths through nature. And these are all the products we make. So the light stands, benches, lots of things for the water, and also houses. This was the plastic house you were talking about. We lived in it for 4 years. It was a demo house, and we built it completely from recycled household waste, plastics, and then this is how it looks inside. Very nice to live in. And the Green Plastic Factory benefits from 40 years of experience from the SAFE group. And these are some of our companies. And this is just to give you an example that what you can do, and if you truly believe in what you do, how you can make it work. And all these companies are really worthwhile, and some are more based on awareness, some are more like the social parts, some are more really creating all kinds of products. And what we do is we are working together with different companies to close the waste cycle. In particular, so-called difficult to recycle plastics. We call it the mixed foils. And these mixed foils in the Netherlands, they are not recycled yet. And for what we see all over the world, these are the big problem. At this moment, PET, like the PET bottles, are being sorted out, are being recycled into new products. But the foils, like the plastic bags, is a big problem still. And these are the machines that we have in the Green Plastic Factory. And these machines create from the bag in the left to a new product like the ones we showed you just now. So we have the agglomerator, extruder, press, and an intrusion mold line. I'm looking at Ferry because he knows all about this. And of course, the social impact is very important for us. Because we are not working to only minimize the negative impact on the environment, but also to maximize the positive impact on our community. And words are very beautiful, but to really do it is to make a change, is to make a difference. And that is what we do all over the world. We implement a social and education awareness plan. And the local population should benefit from it. So this is very important for us. We are not the people that are doing it. The local people are doing it. And we love to inspire them and teach them, train them, like we do now with the people from Kurdistan. And what is plastic waste? We teach in the education plan. How can you help? And we go to schools now in Kurdistan. Next year we go to 8 schools. We visited 5 refugee camps over there, and we go to 8 schools to train the children over there to become aware what they could do with their plastic waste. And they are the inspiring factor for their parents, because the plastic waste is all over the refugee camps. And we are going to teach them that they can do something else and really benefit from it, because by collecting the plastics they gain money out of it for their own personal benefit or new products. Become a Hero is our social program. This is in some parts of the world, like for instance in India, we have like 2,000 disabled youngsters who don't have a face, who don't have a future, actually sitting in the shadow of their hut. And the disabled youngsters in 10 fisher villages, we give them a role like becoming a plastic manager of the village, and then they also gain money from it, so they become a person. And we educate with a train-the-trainer program. We train these youngsters to become an operator in the green plastic factory, so they are having a future afterwards. And this was this week. Our Kurdistan team, our friends, visiting us, learning everything. And these are the steps of our programs. First, we have the assessment. We follow the plastics where we go, so India, Kurdistan, wherever we go, visiting waste companies, schools, government, and our partners. And then step 2, we have the creation phase. We build the molds and the machines. And the location should be ready, of course. There should be a building and electricity. And then they receive the equipment. Step 3 is the implementation phase. And this is about really setting up the green plastic factory, implementing and running the social programs. So on the pictures on the left lower corner, you see us in India giving the education program to all the children on the East Coast in India. More than 1,000 children we reached there this year. And some products the fabric in India already made. And this is also about the implementation, setting up the shop where they create their own products. And this is really for sale, because this is also important for us. It's not like only being creative and doing something with waste. It's also a really strong business case you can make out of it. So the combination of that they really can earn money is important. And we proved that it is really possible. So this is an example of India. Campus Challenge is a rehabilitation center for poor, differently abled children. This is what I just spoke about. This is an example on the picture of the school we were teaching, one of the schools. And this is the building of the factory they especially built for us and the Green Plastic Factory. Machines. This is Kurdistan, an example, region of Duhok, with plastic waste from the camps and a green plastic factory we can create. And we believe that everyone can do this, everyone. And we hope to inspire you, because we know that it is possible if you believe in it. And what you do here at Saxion is so important, to join together, to connect, to create all these beautiful programs. And we truly hope and that you can see us as an example that it is possible. it's also important for us, that's the last thing I'm going to mention, that we really have the just do it mentality. So it's not only talking, it's just do it. And this is why we have all these beautiful projects and are still in the Netherlands the only company that does this much with waste plastics. So follow your dreams and stay authentic. And if you have any questions, you can come to me or to Bram. Thank you.
Perhaps there are also questions now, if people would like to ask a question to Marloes while she's here. That is also possible. We have one question, I think. Yes. Natasha.
I think it's more of a question to the audience, to the students. How do you think that what you've just seen, this can be useful for the situation in Brasilia? And perhaps it's the Brazilian team, but perhaps also the other teams. If you have any ideas, please share.
I don't know. Can you hear me? I don't know if it's possible, but maybe a collaboration with all the plastic that's being, picked by the waste pickers could be a good idea in the future, if possible. Yeah, I don't know. That was just an idea.
This is maybe more of like a question towards the process of it, but it looked like they sorted the trash, right? Or do they do that? Do they sort the trash on the conveyor belt? And is that because some of the plastics are good for some material and some are good for others?
Yes, that's very true. That you say that right. And you have all different kinds of plastics, and these plastics have different kind of temperature, melting temperature. So they have to sort it out. And the plastics from the PET bottles, just like I just mentioned, are already sold to big companies, and new PET bottles were made out of it again. So this is already a recycling loop. But for the foils, there is no recycling loop yet. So this is why we established the green plastic factories, and they have to sort it out.
But you can use the foil to create the new material, right?
Yeah, definitely.
So if people already had like sorted all of the plastic to the different categories, it would be quite easy to build a factory building from these foils, or what?
Yeah, so these machines are specific for the foils, and it would be quite easy actually. Yeah.
Yeah, it was just a question about do you only get then plastics, or do you get all sorts of trash and have to like pick through all of it?
Good question. Sometimes the company where the waste goes to, so the waste company on the location where we are, receives all the plastics, and then they have the people who sort it out. And then we go there, like the first step you saw, the assessment step, and we go there and we say, okay, this is the kind of plastic you can use for, and then most of the time they say, okay, that's nice, because this plastic still ends up on the landfill or somewhere. We are not able to do anything with it at this moment.
All right.
So I think that's very interesting to see an example where the waste is collected locally, but also recycled and reused locally. So I think that's very nice. Are there perhaps also some other questions from people in the room? I see a picture. Yeah, somebody in the back. So I'll run over there.
Yes, because my question comes from a curiosity about the project that we do. Because in Brasilia that we work with, there is only the plastic sorting facility. So when the plastic has been sorted, it has to be sent all the way to Sao Paulo in order to be reused. But it seemed like your factory is it's not so big. Is it something that you can set up even in locations where you don't have a lot of other industry? how difficult is it to set up the factories so you can actually reuse it and make nice products out of the plastic? That was my question.
Yeah, very good question. Thank you. And it's true what you are saying. And in a lot of places, our experience is that there is a beautiful sorting and collecting waste, but really to make new products out of it is often a missing link. So yes, it is possible to bring the green plastic factory and the machines to you, or we can talk about it. What is necessary, what is needed to bring it, but it's not that difficult. It's all about joining together. Of course, the machines cost a little bit of money, but yeah, if you have that, and we really. Choose to have not the big factories, because it's very difficult and complicated to establish a big factory and to gain money out of it. And then we have also the really small factories, and you can't gain a business case out of that. And these machines are very good to have this all.
I think the question for Jens was also, you make it look so easy. I see another question here.
Thank you. I think it's further on the question of Jens, because perhaps one of the things that's not so obvious, but that I've always understood from most of your projects, is that actually the business case is also self-sustaining. So apart from the technicality of gathering and processing the plastics and getting the community involved, etc., there's actually a valid business case of the original investment in equipment, making final products, get them out into the market, and the money you get with that, or the money you save otherwise buying it elsewhere, sustains the business itself. So you're not on a complete continuous financial support system. And I think that, but please correct me if I'm wrong, I think most of the projects you do, actually it's self-containing in the end, if all works well.
Absolutely, yeah, you're very right, Ferry. And this is also important for us, yeah. Absolutely, because otherwise we see that if you buy too small machineries that are not, or too big, then it's too difficult to gain this business case, and it needs too much effort, and then often the company closes again. Yeah.
So it works also well because of the smaller scale and the scalability.
Yeah.
Okay.
True.
Question over there. Yes, I'm on my way.
I really like the picture where you showed like people standing on the parts that it's used to set up the factory while it's unmounted. So it's just like boards and cardboard. So one of the complaints about the waste pickers is that the place where the cooperatives are not exactly the same place where they waste pick. So they have to travel with huge bags of waste from one place to another so they can exchange it for profit. So following up on Jens' question is how easy it is to set up the factory, because having movable centers where they can closely change the plastic for profit could easily make their days shorter, like the work day shorter, or at least they make less travels around the city. So yeah, how easy it is to set up,
how easy it is to set up. Thank you so much for your question. And if I'm right, you are asking how easy it is to do this collecting the waste and bring it to the green plastic factory, or is there another essence in your question?
How easy it is to set up the green factory, the green plastic factory?
Yeah, actually, yeah, for us, if you follow the steps and you do the right communication, this is why we start with the government. And for instance, in Kurdistan, we talked with the managers of the refugee camps, and everyone has to say yes. And we have to have the funding. And then it's very easy, because we manage the process together with the team on location, on site. and we do it step by step. And yeah, it's really not record technology, we always say. It's just connecting. And our experience, of course, we have lots of experience. So for us, it is what we do. And we would love to share it with many people.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, so it's also about organizing local support, I think, from different stakeholders where you work.
Yes.
Okay. Are there perhaps more questions in the room? Yeah, I could always ask a second question.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I'm an engineer, so I think the fact of going back, how easy is it? I think, and of course that depends on all the requirements you have around getting the people aligned, etc. But basically, if you get X square meters of a concrete building with a roof above it, you get some significant power electricity there, and the X square meters is probably starting somewhere around 40 or 50 or so. You need the initial financing, some tens of thousands probably, to get the equipment in. And I believe most business cases, after 1 or 2 years running, the investment is already done by the profit. So technically it's relatively easy, but it's not easy to get there. And I think that is what you were referring to. Everybody needs to agree that. But if I understand your question right, where were you in the back? If you would have, I don't know, 60 square meters available in the place where you are collecting your waste or whatever, and you have electricity and all the guys wanting to do that, then you're up and running almost, if I'm not mistaken.
Very true, very true. And it's also about the combination with the social and awareness program. Yeah, that really makes it very strong.
Yeah, so it's a mix of different aspects. Yeah. Natasha, did you have heb je een vraag? Yeah?
Yeah, it is about this like more bureaucratic part. You said in a refugee camp it was relatively easy because people were easily convinced. What about entering into like government bureaucratics of developing countries?
Yeah, we are very surprised and very happy that these people are really grateful that we are there and want to build together with them. So it's always up till now, it's very positive. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow, that sounds good.
Yeah.
And I was thinking, but perhaps I'm very influenced by people working with plastics. What about if you show this beautiful picture of all the products that you make? Do you need like new expensive molds for that all the time? Or how does that work? Or do you make it in another way?
After the assessment, thank you for your question. After the assessment, we choose, or the local team chooses which kind of products they would like to start with. And then, for instance, in Kurdistan, they choose to create planks. And with these planks, you can make benches, sandboxes, flower boxes, and all kinds of other products. So, and if they like to make tiles for over a year or 2 years, then we create another mold for tiles.
Okay, so that's decided together with the local community what they actually need and
absolutely where they believe is sellable for them.
Okay,
yeah.
Great. Anyone else from the room? Any more students, teachers? Yes, over there, Borna. If I'm right, I think that's Borna, yes.
Hello, thank you for a great presentation. We were discussing a bit, and our question is, how expensive does the finished product end up being, and how can we incentivize construction companies, contractors, and everyone else to choose this over conventional building materials?
Good question, thank you. It's more or less, but I can speak for the Netherlands, I'm sorry, not for your country specifically. We do market research for every country that we are, together with the local team, because in the Netherlands it's comparable to wood. So everything that is made out of wood at this moment, it's comparable in price. And from wood, of course, we know that we have the forests all over the world, that it's not that good for these forests to make the products out of wood. And so the durability of the plastics is much longer. It's much more. We even don't know yet. It's 40 years now because it's a new building material, and maybe we believe that it's much longer, maybe 6 times 40 years or whatever. And then after 40 years, we tested it, and we know that it is 9 times again recyclable. So the same product, for instance, the bench, we can recycle it for 9 times. So if you compare that to the money it costs, it's very less than the normal products.
That's great to hear that the price is comparable. And I have one more question. This one's more related to the business perspective. Congratulations on a great startup. And as you said, only 2% of environmental startups actually make it. And you've been making it for the past 40 years. How has that experience been for you? Who in the government did you contact? And if, for example, a different country wanted to set it up, what would be the fastest way and the most efficient way to succeed?
Thank you so much. How did we succeed, and how was it for us? We succeed by just continuing and started being creative all the time. And like I mentioned, just do it. Stop talking at one point, make a good plan, stop talking, and go and see. Like our house, we built it, and we didn't know what we got into, and lots of gray hair, extra gray hair, because it is not easy to do it like this, but it's so much fun. And so sometimes we are talking about it at night and thinking, oh wow, can we continue? How do we continue? But there's always this spark of hope, bringing something to the world, and working together with all these people. And that's so nice. It's so inspiring for us. So yeah, this is what it is. And your last part of the question?
So it was if another country wanted to create something similar, who would they need to contact in their governments to, not get stuck in some drawer for a while, but actually make it?
Yeah. For instance, in Kurdistan, we talk to the people of the municipality, of the industrial people, and it's good it's good to start in a high layer, because these are the people with the authority, and if they say yes, everyone else also say yes. And this is how we do it. We talk to the location where we would love to actually build the green plastic factory. So this is also an important part. And we talk to the people of education to be able to implement the education plan in the normal, regular schools. Yeah, elementary schools.
I hope your question is answered. Okay, good. Are there any more questions of anybody in the room? Yes?
Since the world is so big and there are so many waste out there, how do you choose which region to focus on, and how do you pick a country when you start this initiative?
Thank you. Good question. Actually, we don't pick. People pick us. And people come to us and ask us, could you please build a green plastic factory with us and do all these beautiful programs? And then we start talking. And very soon we see if all the components are there. And if not, we say, okay, we would love to talk to you in a year. We really like your idea, but at this moment it's not possible yet. But yeah, up till now, people find us.
It's just a quick follow-up to that. Has that always been the case? So you just did what you did here in the Netherlands, and then people from other countries heard about you and contacted you, or did you at some point start in the in some other country where you actually went for yourself? Or has it always been the case that people found you?
For us, it was always the case, but we already have the company, the Safe Plastic company, already is a big company that sells the bridges and the planks and the poles. So this is our main company, our mother company. This is why lots of people know us. And there was also a question about in the Netherlands, we talk to people from the ministry. So they come to us and ask, how is this working for you, and what are you doing specifically that make these projects worthwhile? And also for the government, the sustainability program for the government up till 2030, we were chosen as one of the mainstream companies that does this kind of thing. So then people get to know you and come to you. Yeah.
How do you feel being part of an academic project, trying to sell it to another country? Use for instance, this kind of thing that we are doing together here, how to have this thing using the academic thing that we are doing now, the academic contact that we are doing now.
And how do we feel being part of this kind of program?
To install those things in Brazil, for instance.
To start
some kind of pilot that we could use this thing that we are doing now as a project, this project here.
In Brazil?
Yes. How do you feel being part of it?
Yeah, everything is possible, we think. So we can talk and see what we can do. And it would be really nice to start a green plastic factory and all the programs in Brazil, actually. So is this an answer to your question?
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
We would love to.
Okay, we're going to talk about that.
Yes, of course.
Next speaker this morning is Monique Kam, as you can see also, of course, in the screen. Monique is a Saxion colleague, and she works in a research group, Business Models, Circular Business Models, I think it's called. And one of the things that this research group does is also support companies in working more circular. But Monique, I'm sure that you can tell us more about what you do. So please welcome Monique.
Hi everyone, and thank you for being here after what I picked up already was an intensive week. Maybe a little solace to you, I was already up at 5:30 this morning because that's my traveling time to Enschede from where I live. So, and when I was cycling to the station in Nijmegen where I live, I already passed a few people picking garbage, which is in the Netherlands, as you may or may not have noticed in the past week, a hobby. We jog and we call it plogging, and then we pick up the trash that others leave around. And that's the level where we voluntarily pick trash in the Netherlands. We keep our streets clean, we keep nature clean, and we do it voluntarily, at least some people do. So that's quite a different situation than what you're dealing with and what you have been working on last week. Now, I was already introduced a little bit about myself. Here at Saxion, at the economics faculty, we have a research group called Business Models. And for us, a business model is looking at how you organize value creation. A lot of what we do has to do with organizing sustainable or circular value, closing loops as far as possible, and from that perspective we are also involved in looking at organizing waste management. So that's probably why I'm here before you now. We're a University of Applied Sciences. We had a very nice practice-based introduction already, so it's up to me now to fill in a little bit the theoretical part. I'll try to do that as practice-based as possible. We scientists are not always very well at that. You probably know when you get classes. I'm not sure what you already have encountered or not this week, so feel free to ask questions in between or to tell me, we already have known that for a very long time. Now, a few things we do at our research group is specifically designing and developing tools that help businesses to sustainalize. We put them together in our online business model lab, and we develop all these tools together with practice. So everything we develop has already been tested, and it's free for use for everyone in the whole world through our Business Model Lab site. I will talk a little bit more about the tools later on, because some of them might be handy, and probably some of you say, shit, we wish we would have had that tool at the beginning of the week, and then I know that we've done our work right because we found out something that might be practical in your opinion, as the practitioners you are now, after this week and during your study. Now, business models. I heard a few times business cases mentioned this morning already. Anyone a quick idea about what a business model is? Been dealing with the world business model in your assignments this week or not? Yes, you have?
Not quite sure, but maybe some sort of timeline thing or how things start and go
A
around.
timeline of a description of how things are working or things how you have been doing?
Some sort of like chronological order or something you might go and do.
A timeline I hear here. Thank you. Next question. Next answer.
I guess it's a way to ensure you don't run out of money.
A way to ensure you don't run out of money. More options? You see, that's why it's always necessary that a business model researcher explains a little about what a business model is. A business model is all about organizing your value creation. So it's actually the model that helps you to understand what the value is that your enterprise or your activity is offering to the world. So if I produce glass bottles, what would my value creation offer be? Yes? I put the bottle for you in a water, or I put the water for you in a bottle, and you are willing to pay me for that bottle of water when you're thirsty. Absolutely. So my offer to the world is that I manufacture a device which makes it easier for you to obtain water. So the heart of the business of the bottle manufacturer is making bottles that people want to use. That's their value creation. If I am a baker, my value creation is putting certain ingredients together and baking a bread. So you don't have to do it, and you pay me for that. If I collect plastics and make useful materials out of them, and I help people obtaining an income with that, my value creation is already threefold. I solve a material problem because I create stuff that people can use to build. I solve a waste problem because I distract waste from the environment. And I help people creating jobs. Now that's what happens with sustainability. we get multiple values created at once, and we find them important. Now, if we look at the business model, this is a little bit of theory. Sorry, it's the dry part of the morning, as we say. A business model is actually looking at, okay, what is that value proposition I'm offering to the world? What wouldn't be there if I wouldn't be manufacturing or servicing? How is that organized? That's, I'm still looking at you because you're such a beautiful example of what you need to do before you can actually deliver your value proposition. And very important, what is the revenue model that you organize around it? In other words, how are you going to get paid for what you do? Now, we have become very used. I'm going a little bit, oh, I'm going the wrong direction, myself. Now, this is what usually happens. A company makes something, sells it for money. Maybe to another company who sells it to a retailer, and then it comes to you as a consumer. Maybe just to another company who needs it for the manufacturing processes. Are we all there until now? Yeah, okay, so that's not that easy. You see, business models is very easy. It's very, very easy. However, we are changing positions. We are no longer divided in just the manufacturers who make things and the clients who buy things, which from all times on, from a business perspective, we call the business to consumer business or business to business. You must have come across that somewhere B2B or B2C. What we see happening in our age is that consumers are producing for business. They are collecting trash and delivering it to business who can make the trash into something else. And consumers are delivering stuff directly to other consumers. From a business perspective, that is something new. And that means that if you organize your business model, you can't just say, well, here is the factory, here is the bank, here are the consumers. No, it's a little bit different, so you have to find different ways of organizing that. Another thing that has changed is that we are valuing trash a lot more. So the value you create is no longer just created from virgin resources, from new stuff, but you can also retain value from waste. That is something we haven't realized that very long. Another thing is that if you look at how economy is organized and how production processes are organized, we are looking at much more stakeholders than before. We're not only looking at the client, we're looking at the environment as well. We're looking at the group who could collectively probably benefit from a new product. And maybe they could contribute a little bit to it. So we're looking in a different perspective to consumers, to society, and to all the other stakeholders. Now, we do that in our business model group by using a certain systemic approach. It's this one. I'm not going to go through with all of it. But what we do is we look always at the type of business model there is, which already implies that there are many different types of business models. And we're going to focus a little bit on what business models are interesting for waste collection. Now, already mentioned before also, and very important, is to us measuring the impact, the true impact of what you're doing. So we're no longer just looking at how much did you sell and how much money did you make by that, but also what is the eventual impact of your manufacturing process. Now we know that there's a lot of different ways of organizing that. And I'm going to focus with you on these two because we found out, and that's not only us, there's of course many researchers like us going on, that for the circular economy, and especially when it comes into reuse of products and resources, we are talking about circular business models and we're talking about community-based business models. And I will surely explain that. This was very, very, very shortly. A business model is much more than just your timeline or your strategy. You know, it's all in here. That's why we called it a template. These are all building blocks that you have in your business model. So this is the value proposition. This leads to a certain kind of business model. It leads to a certain kind of strategy. This leads also to creation of values, and those values can be positive and negative. And thus, there's also a certain impact, which also can be positive or negative. And the idea about a sustainable business model is that you try to diminish negative impact as much as possible. How do we do that in a circular economy? How do we diminish negative impact? I'm getting very serious looks everywhere. I'm going to try something else. What do we know about circular economy? Did you come across terminology like circular economy in the past week? Yes? A little bit? Not too much? Because the interesting thing about waste picking and the interesting thing from a business model perspective of what you have been involved with in the past half year is that you are working on circular business models, even if you are not aware of it. So that's a nice extra. Don't forget that in your presentation. We have been working on a circular business model. Now, to understand circularity, you have to understand linearity before. And linearity is an economic term that we have been confronted with for the past 100, 100, 150 years. It's the way we have been producing since the Industrial Revolution. We take resources, we manufacture something from it, we sell it to whoever uses it, and when the user is done with it, we don't care about what happens with the trash. That's sort of the system from, well, at least until about 10, 20 years ago. And we call that the cradle-to-grave paradigm. We have a lot of beautiful resources we only use once, and then we throw them away. Now, from the 50s, from the 1950s on, this has been a policy worldwide. We call that planned obsolescence. And planned obsolescence means that you produce something for single use, and then the consumer has to buy something again, and again, and again. This is very good for production companies. It's not so good, as we have found out, for the environment in the end. Not caring about trash for a very long time in a very big part of the world has led to all this kind of pictures that you all know, and you surely know them because you have been involved in waste picking. Now, so this linear economy, which is a downsized line from take, make, use, waste, has these results. There's a lot of waste. This has partly to do with the fact, which you are probably also all aware of, that if you buy something as a consumer, the front end is very nice. We have a nice website, we have a nice shop, we have a very, very, very sweet salesman probably. Now, if you don't use it, you put it in the trash can or you litter it on the street. the way of disposing your trash is not so nice as acquiring new things. Trash is a bit smelly, it's a bit, we don't know, so we're not that interested in what happens with stuff after we have used it. This also has to do with the fact that we as consumers partly pay for all that trash. You know, a lot of companies are trying to dispose the responsibilities in paying for trash. Another reason for more trash. You buy something, you need to get rid of all the plastics and everything it is in. Now, of course, we're an international community, but every country, and even on a municipal level, rules and regulations for trash collecting differ. This is something you probably found out already. And this leaves us to still burning and dumping trash as the cheapest option. And this is, well, we're sorry for that, because it's better to make building blocks out of plastics than to simply burn it. Now, when we talk about a circular economy, the theoretical concept is that we completely close material loops. Now, from a material perspective, that's completely impossible, but we can at least try to keep resources in function as long as possible, which is something we are not doing right now. So this is a theoretic slide you need to remember if you ever talk about circularity again. You may forget it after now. When we talk about circularity, we talk about the situation in which we close loops. The circular economy is a societal situation in which that is the case, which it isn't. So we are sort of contributing to the circular economy by initiatives that address waste. And when we look at the circular business model, from the business model perspective, we specifically look at how do you organize that circularity? How do you take care that your business model really contributes to circularity and not just a nice word because you are doing something with waste and not making useful use of it? Because that's the difference. Now, circularity also implies, you already heard that we need to sort out our trash, which is specifically for our consumers' trash a big problem. With companies, it's a little bit more easier. And all over Europe, and these pictures were all taken in the Netherlands, except for the one left here, we are already starting doing that. Not efficiently enough, but we have been starting that because we have been acknowledging that in certain waste streams there's value to extract. And we have found out all kinds of methods of dividing the most important kinds of trash that we acknowledge here, in the hope that we can reuse them a little bit. I have to tell you also that in the last year, 7 recycling plants for plastics in the Netherlands closed down because of EU legislation that was not continued on single-use plastics. We will be having that legislation anyway later on, but for now our Dutch government has halted some prohibitions on using plastics. And what I also always see, because I always, I have students, they send me these pictures, yeah? They know, okay, Monique always wants pictures of trash collecting systems. And the only thing that you see everywhere is the plastics, because they are basically the most useful resources from the trash that we throw away as consumers in the streets. Anyone know this one? Now, again, a little bit circular economy. When we talk about circular economy, we talk about cycles. We talk about a biological cycle. We all can imagine that. It goes round and round and round. And what we want in a circular economy is that the material and the technical cycle mimic the biological cycle. Which means that we have certain stages in circularity, and more important when you're into finding real-life solutions for waste pickers, we have certain activities within circularity, and each activity requires its own business model. I'm going very quickly through these because you might recognize them or not. What we have here is what we call the R ladder of circularity. Now, all these R's stand for something, and I'm sure you will very quickly recognize which R's the waste pickers are involved in. Now, the highest stage on the R ladder is regeneration. So, helping nature to recover, actually, to grow back, to not distract anything without at least replacing it. The second highest level is refuse. So you refuse new stuff, you refuse new resources. This is a difficult one. This is it's nice. And basically we do already have enough metal and plastics and all other kinds of resources in the world to be able not to use plastics from virgin materials. However, we are not able to organize our world in such a way that that already happens. Now, you can regenerate, you can refuse new stuff. The next step is that you say, can we probably redesign stuff so that it's less polluting in producing and that it produces less waste? Now, this is an example of Fairphone. It's a Dutch company. They develop modular phones, which means that if your camera is broke, you change your camera. If anything else is broken in the camera, you can just change it. And they are trying to work with companies that source their resources ethically for all these parts. And from this year on, they even have a Google free telephone. I'm actually on the waiting list for that. I'm very nervous what will happen with my Saxion account, but anyway. So they basically think, okay, our production and our use is very polluting, we can do that in a different way. Now, that's redesigning. We can also think in a different way about functions of stuff. Now, for us Dutch, this was very exciting a few years ago because all Dutch people have at least 3 bikes in the shed. And when I first came across this was in Barcelona, I think about 10 years ago, I was flabbergasted. I thought, what a brilliant idea. You can rent a bike and you can put it somewhere else and you don't ever have to worry about repairing or being stolen or everything. But this will never work in the Netherlands because we all have 3 bikes. Now, especially here in the city of Enschede, you can already see these bikes. The swap bike is a student bike, you rent it. And when it's broke, they change it for you. And a few years after, we had the electric rent scooters. They are still around, but we're not so happy with them anymore because people tend to leave them around everywhere, you know. So the solution is good. The way in which it is organized, not so, is what we say from a business model perspective. So rethinking the function of stuff. Nice to do. Now I'm going too far. This is, you can, after rethinking, you can also think about reducing the type of materials you use, reducing the energy sources you use. Now, if you say, the strategy of sustainability of my company will be that we will be reducing, that is something different than refusing. So that's a different strategy and it has different consequences. Keep that in mind. Now we are entering the realm of trash picking a little bit. Because another stage is reusing. And with reusing, we specifically mean you use a thing as a whole, but in a new function. Now, in the Netherlands, we all do that always in April. You know, everyone puts their trash out of the street and sells it. It's a national tradition, sort of. And as a student, you're probably aware that this is very normal stuff when you are in your student room, because I don't know, do you buy everything new? How many of you are in student rooms? All new stuff, second-hand stuff? A mix. So reuse is nothing new. In business model language is something new, but we all know what it is and we do it. So nothing new there. Now repairing. That is something as well. For your clothes, it's normal. For your car, it's normal. For your bike, it's normal. For your phone, is it normal to have your phone repaired? Apart from the screen bursting, of course, because we all have that within 2 days of a new phone. Not that much, yeah? Why is it difficult? It's expensive. And is your phone repairable? Can you open it yourself? Without and having it back in the same shape afterward. Let me put it this way, because yes, we get it open. Of course, no problem. Now, here's a funny thing. In Europe, since last year, we have a new European law. It's the right to repair law. Now, European laws always go a little bit slow, so it will become active from this August, actually, now I come to think about it. It's a law that protects us, consumers, that we have a right to repair our electronic devices. We haven't been able to do that for 40 or 50 years because of that planned obsolescence that I showed you earlier. Manufacturers are very good in melting the plastic outsides or aluminium outsides of our devices together, thus making it not possible to repair them ourselves. They devise them in such a way that within a certain time amount, 3 years, 5 years, a little thingy might break and you will need a new one. A little thingy that you might possibly have been able to fix yourself quite easily. Now, it took the EU 12 years to get this law into place. So that's the time we need to be able to become more circular, because what would be easier if something very small is broken than to mend it yourself? But now we have to sew open our coffee machines if we want to do that. So this law actually helps us to become more circular because we may be able to repair more things. Now, there may be another thing becoming more interesting. It might become interesting again in this part of the world to have a job in repairing things. We don't have that much jobs anymore in that perspective because we don't have that much stuff to repair anymore. So a very important one also, of course, when you're dealing with stuff that people throw away. Now, the next step beyond repairing, and it's a total different thing from a business model perspective, is refurbishing. Then we put a new engine in a car or in a computer. So yes, we still use it, but it's updated. Another one we do is repurpose something. So we use it, but out of its original function. That's different. Now, I have a fascination for trash. I also have a fascination, I have developed a fascination in this respect for pallets. And probably for the people who are not from the Netherlands, what we see especially here, this is at the Brico, so a center where you can buy building materials. They deconstructed a pallet, you know, the wooden pallets you use to move stuff around. They deconstructed it into planks. You can buy those planks. You can buy a plan to make a nice little bench out of it. And you can even buy the cushions to put on the banks, on the bank. Now, when I was a student, I had 2 of those pallets and a mattress on it, and that was my bed. And yes, I had housemates who made their furniture out of pallets, because pallets were everywhere and they were for free, because everyone just left them lying around. And I was very amazed that you can make quite a lot of money, because this little bench, it's 74 euros if you buy the planks. So we can repurpose things, and repurposing is even a little bit a hot topic. But being a hot topic is never enough to end all the trash of a certain product. What now happens is that they specifically make new pallet planks so you can make your own bench. Now, this is using stuff with a different function. If we recycle, we say we are using the materiality of stuff. So now we're at Local for Local, we are recycling plastics into bricks or into planks or into whatever. So recycling is not buying a second-hand dress or anything. From a business model perspective, it's all different things. And then, of course, the last and least favorable step in our R ladder is what we call recovery, which is a very nice word, but which basically means burning or composting, because recover means, from a business model perspective and from a circular perspective, we get nutrition or energy one more time out of the stuff and then it's gone. Which is the least favorable option, because probably stuff could have been done with that tire above. Now, a nice little story about this. This was the first factory in Europe, and it's near Arnhem. You probably know it. The Cloud Factory, we call it. It's next to a facility that burns waste. This facility filters all CO2 out of the waste burning. They put it in bottles and they provide various industries and farmers with the stuff. So actually this is a solution for last chance waste, because they can't do not much more with it than use it or landfill or burn it. But at least they get the CO2 from the burning and they can sell that. So a company that burns or incinerates their waste there, they actually get certificates that they are saving CO2. From a business model perspective, that's a very interesting one, I have to tell you. Now, this is to get your eyes all get completely across. I'm not going to talk much about this, but the main thing is that all these R's are linked to different business models, and they will have strategies and everything as well. Now, as I was telling you before, if you Google on waste picking in South America, and I have to tell you that 35 years ago, as a student, I picked waste in Santiago de Chile. So yes, I have been going along the same ways as you guys now. You see, it's a community activity, always. Circularity also is a community activity, always. There's a very simple reason for that. You can't close a loop on your own. Then you would be the only one using your own stuff and remanufacturing your own stuff. Normally, we have people who manufacture, people who sell, people who use, and then a whole reuse route starts. And to close a loop, or to close a loop as far as possible, there are always different parties involved. and they need to work together. Now, looking at collective business models, we are here when we are talking about trash picking, because when you're talking cooperative, you're basically talking about a legal form to organize how you work together. And when you're talking about community-based, the actual capital of your enterprise is the community. In this case, for example, the people that pick the trash, so that together they can create a volume that becomes interesting to sell. Now, there's all kinds of things going on. You already have your ideas, you're going to present them, so I don't want you to slip in all those words. So it's a little bit, we call it in the Netherlands, mosterd na de maaltijd probably, but this is how we look at this from a business model perspective. And especially what is happening in communities in Latin America is very interesting from a research perspective. Because there's a rich tradition in grassroots movements in Latin America, much richer than in many other parts of the world. And it has been documented, and we can learn a lot from that. And I'm not just saying that because a very long time ago I was a student trash picker in Latin America. Now we have come up with some principles on how to organize that. And most important, but I don't have the translation right now. Right now we are working with an international group on a system for a group of people to find out how they organize the governance structure of their collaborative enterprise. Because that's quite something. If you are into soft plastics, there is already a proven concept. And I've known local for a very long time, so it's very funny to... Nice to meet you finally, I have to say. If you are saying, I'm going to collect organic waste and compost it and maybe sell the energy from that, another community and another model might be involved. If you say, we want to retrieve the metal from electronics, again, another part is involved. So we are working on this with a team of European universities of applied sciences. And the idea is that we get a model eventually that everyone can use. And they just fill in their own situation somewhere and they start. We are piloting that now with a few communities in the Netherlands, amongst which a trash picking community. But again, it's a little bit, it's the voluntary pluggers again, and it's very nice that they do it. But it's not the same level of problem as there is in Brasilia, for example. Now, then you get all kinds of these things. I'm not going to make it very difficult for you. If you are interested, all information on circularity and how to organize a circular business model is, and even the tools, the schemes, everything is available for free at Saxion. And we even have a free course on doing that. And I'm happy to say that about 3 years ago, the first certificate that we gave out for completing this course was to a Brazilian professor from Brasilia. Timber is still working with her. She phoned us, she said, I did the course, I need a certificate. And, well, you know what problems you get when you need a certificate from the course. I go, we managed. Now, this is a picture I took in Utrecht Station. Maybe some of you came across also it. I love it, it's real life. The artist has picked literally all the litter, made this artwork, and underneath it are boxes in which you can throw away all the stuff. So that's a very creative stuff, I think, of making people aware of the value of trash. But then again, I'm into business models that address trash, so maybe this is another collecting system, but probably the best and most beautiful that I photographed until now. And I'm very, very curious, so I will be staying a little longer, to your solutions, because of course I'm just looking at it from an economic business model value creating perspective. And yes, we have already seen examples of trash pickers, for example, who come with very creative hybrid systems of revenuing. You know, not having to pay your energy bill because you contribute to collecting trash, things like that. These are all models that we see in different parts of the world and in different settings with different organizations. And we're more than happy to help out if there are questions about that kind of models, because we have the contacts. So thank you.
I think some people are still arriving, but then I think we'll start. So we're going to listen to the first project proposal, the first presentation of the first group. That is until more or less 12:30, then is lunch. Very interesting to hear about you. And then I'll give you the microphone.
Thank you so much. We're here for the data management presentation. I think you already know me, but if you don't, my name is Antonio. I'm going to give you just a quick summarization on how the project is. So why are we doing what we're doing? Mainly because of these issues. Increasing distrust between management and waste pickers themselves. They have no data to make previsible decisions, so something that I've always talked with a partner of mine, if you have no data, it's like just licking your finger and trying to know which direction the wind is going. So also, productivity increase will have a strategy to increase their productivity, make their work a little bit better for them, and like reduce all the problems that they have between the stakeholders. So our goal, to develop an unified app to help managers and waste pickers become closer and implement more transparency, because transparency and data are the keys for this project. So we'll be empowering the decision-making capacity of managers and giving the waste pickers the information they want to see, they need to see to understand. And how we are doing this, like how we're going to make this into reality. We'll create a unified portal for the weight to be registered with an important information about sales and the state of the cooperative as a whole, with more information to empower all the parts. So let's move on. Oh, now it worked. And how we're tackling this challenge. I'll be guiding the guys as the PO for the project, so I'll be supervising everything. We have the Alberg team, who are these guys. They will be the main responsible for developing the app itself. Then we have the Section team, who is represented by Devin. He will be our design, so he will be our eyes during the project development. He will teach us, like, who's going to play? Yeah. I mean, starting. So he will be responsible for creating the application, like helping. This card is starting. Okay, that should be fine. Sorry. Spotify? No, Spotify is fine. I turned it off. And then the production engineering team will have 2 teams. Both will be led by Paloma, the PSP5 and PSP2, who are 2 subjects in the University of Brasilia. They will be our main representatives in Brazil, so they will be the ones conducting the visits, interacting with the speakers alongside me and Paloma, and making sure like we have all the information and the ability to make all the visits that we need. And then the mechanical engineering, who is going to be mainly one person who is going to be responsible for building the scale that was developed last semester. So let's get into what each team will do exactly. I mean, fucking hell. It is working. Just a little bit. Okay, so there we go to the Aalborg University team.
Yeah, so for the Aalborg University, our objective is to create a simple solution or some application they can use. So when they weigh in their waste, it will be sent up, and they can see how much they weigh, and then they can go into the application, open it, and then view the how much different weights and from different materials to create some transparency in the data and how and the trust between the manager, because they have some specularities about the trust between manager and workers. So with this application, we aim to create some transparency between the data and the workers and everything in total. And we split up these deliverables in like 3 sections. So Visti, would you be able?
Yeah, we've split it up in 3 sections. It's an offline cache and a backend and then a front end. The offline cache has one goal, and it's to make the app more reliable, making sure that it actually works without an internet connection, which sometimes is the case for the waste pickers. Then we have the front end, which will be an easy to understand overview of your collected trash, and then a functionality to actually register new collected trash. And then the backend is all the behind the scenes stuff, which is saving the collected trash, or it could be things such as actually, what do we call it, the login functionality. And put together, well, this would create an app, which hopefully will be very easy and nice to use for the waste pickers.
Yep. And then we have our plan for the upcoming semester. And I don't think I have to read up all the deliverables for you, as you can see here. But this is like the initial plan, how we're going to execute this app. And as we did the last semester, as we're so lucky to continue this one, we met every Thursday at 5, and then it'll change because of the summertime and everything. But we'll continue the weekly meetings to do catch-ups and to just... We usually just take a moment and then find out how far people are, if they have any questions, and that really helped last semester, and that was a very good checkup every week. So we'll definitely continue doing that. And then hopefully we'll have a testing and deployment of the app at the end, so we will be able to test it and then execute all of our work.
Yeah, and so finally, a new thing for us this time was that we were kind of split up actually between Educator and DMS. And we kind of saw a lot of similarities actually. I don't want to get too much into Educator, that's going to come later. But we are also going to be working in alignment with their team, because they're also going to make an app just like us. And it's for the same people with a lot of the same requirements, same devices that it's going to run on. So there are going to be a lot of people working on the Educator app, and they're making a framework and everything, and you're going to hear later how exactly that's going to work. But we are also going to align with them and with the design of both of them to just sort of create more or less a single visual identity, so that this will feel like it's familiar to the waste pickers, even if they're using 2 different apps. They're not supposed to be super different. It's supposed to be like one more connected experience. But our app, of course, is going to be focused on the weighing and the registration of the waste picker name, and also being able to view how much you collected. So it's a separate thing, but we want them to feel like they're a part of Egalitarian solution as a whole, and not just 2 completely separate projects.
Okay, so for the Saxion team, what I will be working on, and with the others I get from my course, is the gamification of the app. And the smart objective that I wrote is, within 3 months of launching this gamification system, 80% of cooperative members will regularly be engaged with their personal dashboard on the app. Aim to have 60% will participate in team challenges, and 10%, there'll be a 10% increase in the average volume and density of recyclable materials collected. So in the very beginning, what I am going to be delivering is an A/B testing prototype. And this is to get the first impression from the waste pickers, what their preferences are and what they feel would be more user-friendly. Since that it's very important to tailor something that aligns with their own intrinsic values and motivation. And then later on, through constant iteration and testing and redesigns, we would be delivering the gamified version of the application, which those elements implemented by the team over here with what requirements that are finalized and approved to be implemented. So, as I mentioned right now, September, that's when around the time the first visit will happen. So the first A/B prototype will have to be ready by then. That's what I'm going to be aiming for. And throughout the months of November to early December, it will always be constant reiteration of previous designs to see what works best, what looks visually appealing, and is seen as a positive as a whole towards the waste pickers and also the management and us as a team. And when we find common ground there, because you can't satisfy everyone's needs, we will go forward with that. And then going towards December and January, it's still more adjustments, and then seeing if there are any gamified features that need to be added on or even removed from the initial list. And in the very end is the final instructions to be delivered to the app development team and have it all ready for shipping. And as just mentioned before, every Thursdays at 5 p.m., at least our time here, is when we want to be doing a weekly checkup to see how things are going, if there's any concerns or something that needs to be addressed or changed. So a weekly meeting should cover that pretty well, I should say.
So they're responsible of the UNB's team, like PSP2 and PSP5. And PSP2 is gonna make like a quality quantitative research to the waste pickers, so we can use the project with another places and another cooperatives. And PSP5 is gonna do analysis with literature and research like, we are trying to find some apps that already exist and we can try in Brazil and do with all the cooperatives in Brasilia as we can. So PSP2 is gonna deliver is gonna make the first visit, that they are gonna do the questions that Aalborg needs to develop the mobile, and PSP5 is gonna do the second visit to show the prototype and the gamification so they can choose what is the best version today so they can use and not exactly turn back and do in the paper and it's a waste app. So PSP2 is going to do the first visit in September, in the middle of September, and PSP5 is going to do the research. And in the second visit, PSP5 is going to make, PSP2 probably will be considering the other cooperatives that can use the app, so we can continue the DMS. We are going to do our checkpoint. In Brazil is lunchtime.
Thank you very much, Paloma. Now we go to the mechanical engineering team in Brazil, which will be responsible for building the scale that was built by Stein. So yeah, there's nothing much. It's pretty much fabrication. We already have the project that was made by students in Saxion University. So we'll start the fabrication probably at the beginning of October, so we can have it ready for the beginning of December, so I can start testing the whole integration of the application, making sure everything works, making sure we'll be able to deliver a good experience to all the stakeholders involved in the project. And also, there will be meetings. The mechanical engineering won't be mandatory to participate. It will be only more so we can understand how the schedule we set up is going. So, what are the expected results? So the waste pickers are the first stakeholders, and more motivation through the gamification, more control over what they receive because they'll have the information on the application, and data is power, and more transparency in relationship, which should take us to the second stakeholder, who are the managers, who have an improvement in productivity, reduction in conflicts between workers and managers, and we'll have 2 visits. That's our initial program with the cooperative to make sure that, like Paloma well said, it's not an app that's going to be waste. So how's the relationship between the universities? Like I said, UNB will be the responsible for gathering the information with the Recicla Mais cooperative. They will be the point of touch. They will be the responsible for going there, asking the questions, making sure everything gets to the other teams so they can start developing the software together. And yep, so this is the project timeline. We have week 0, that's where we are. Then we have the first visit with all the questions that we already raised, some of them. We just need to structure it a little better. Then we have the first decision with all the teams to understand how is it going to be. Is it going to be cloud native? It's going to run server side? Which device do we focus on developing? And so on and so on. Then with that, we can gather the requirements and then create some diagrams of like building, how the processes are going to work. Then me and the mechanical engineering student will start building the scale based on that, while the other teams are starting with the prototype, the development, and then we have the second visit where we showcase the demo. And then based on that, we can go and develop the second version, test it, because we need to get it approved on Google Play Store, on Apple Store, and so on and so on. And it's quite a process, so it will take some time. And then the plan is to launch on the next egalitarian event that's going to happen in Brasilia. So yeah. And then, as we said, meetings every week, Thursdays, 12 p.m. Brazilian time, and then the Netherlands and Danish 5 o'clock p.m., and then 4 after the time goes back to normal. And yeah, I think that's it for us. So I think now we have time for questions. Oh, okay, perfect.
Yes. Did you give any thought of whether there will be any implication about the implementation? Like, have you talked to the manager if they actually have interest in this app? Does he actually want this?
Yeah. Yes. During the past semester, we made some visits. Like even before that, we've been talking to them. We've presenting the idea to them. The managers already saw the management version of the application. They really liked. They think it's improvement on what they have, and it's going to help their daily lives a lot. And now the way speakers themselves actually also really agreed, and they really want something to give them the transparency. We have all the data from these visits, from these questionnaires. We think everything's pointing to the right direction.
Yeah, more questions?
Thanks for presentation. I think that's a question more to Devin, but you can answer collectively too. Gamification may increase engagement, okay? But also could generate some frustration or unhealthy competitive. I would like to know how you can balance these effects.
Well, the main thing for this one is that I want to keep the gamification more individualistic and only centered on a single user, or in the case when they're working in a team, amongst the team, trying to avoid anything that may influence competition, like a leaderboard where you can see how your colleagues are doing, because as you said, that can generate an unhealthy amount of competition, which is not what we want, but wanted to focus mainly on their own personal accountability. And of course, everything we don't know until it's tested and we see the effects of it, but releasing or removing the aspect where you might be competing with your own work colleagues should decrease that possibility quite a bit. So in the end, only after testing could I really give a definitive answer.
Okay, thanks.
Just to complement, also during the past semester, the lovely students at the University of Minho also developed some guidelines to help that. It was focusing on the healthy gamification of the app. So Devin already took a look at the document as well. So that will be also helping us.
I have two questions. The first question is, what about the scale? It's you explained it will be made by probably by a mechanical engineering student from Unibe. To what extent do you actually depend on the physical scale to test the app in the end? How is that interrelated, and did you take that into account?
Yes, it is, I mean, mostly necessary, so we can test the integrations between the application and the database to make sure it's correct, it's everything all set up. But the problem is because the app will connect to the scale, because the scale needs to be tailor-made, so when the weight speaker puts the weight on it, it already sends to the database with all the information from the weight speaker. So it needs to talk with the mobile application and then give the answer to the database. So it's been all mapped, and we need it not to start testing because we already have a prototype of the scale that we can use to send the data. So, I mean, it's more for like making sure everything is correct. And then, like I said, we still have some decisions to see how their connection between the scale and the app will happen.
And another question is about the things we also talked about on Tuesday morning, the trust between the managers and the waste pickers. And it seems it's important to have a really good connection between Paloma's teams and you guys. How are you going to manage that to make sure you work on this trust issue between the manager and the waste pickers?
The meetings, they will be like for the whole team. Like, so they'll be working very close together, and that's why we had the weekly meetings last semester. So the teams like the Allwalk team and Stein, who was the mechanical engineering from Saxion, he was on the meetings as well, and they worked very close.
But in the case of the PSP people, they of course not all of them, like I don't know how many they are, but they're not all in the meeting together.
I mean,
but
we usually have one representative from from each team.
And that's also your input. Okay. Okay, great, good to hear.
I think we have a final question, and then I have one question here, perhaps another question there, and then I think we also have to move on to the second group before the break. So I'm handing the microphone over to you.
Congrats for presentation. I would like to know if you think about if the scale or system fails technically, what is your risk plan for this?
Okay, I think if you guys want to answer, because you did an amazing job last semester to make sure, because the main point of failure is the Wi-Fi. Like the Wi-Fi is over, so if you want to talk a little bit about how you handled it.
Sure. I mean, we did talk about, we actually got some questionnaires back where we wanted to investigate, for example, how the Wi-Fi connection is at the site, if it's reliable enough to make a solution like this. And we also investigated some alternative solutions, like doing physical cable connections so that we improve stability, and the option to maybe have a physical connection somewhere to a microcomputer that then will send out another connection to another microcomputer, so they don't necessarily have to rely only on Wi-Fi. So the idea was mostly that we would try to make this prototype solution work on Wi-Fi, but we have the alternative solution if we see that this is not quite working as it should, then we can look into this alternative solution that we already researched, and it should be possible to also make it not rely 100% on Wi-Fi.
Yeah, and then you can always just use the scale as a normal scale without internet connection and use the old methods in case the Wi-Fi doesn't work at the moment. And then on top of that, we have looked into doing some offline cache and saving some data in the app to actually send the data afterwards if a Wi-Fi connection is lost, because the app and the scale is connected through Bluetooth, which always works if it doesn't if it isn't broken on the actual chip. So
Yeah, so as it says, worst case scenario kind of is that nothing works, but then they still just have a scale and they would still be able to do it the way that they did it before. So it's not like they will have no scale, they will still have at least worst possible scenario to be able to continue the way that they were doing it already.
Yeah, not continue, like go back to old methods, but write it down, and then when Wi-Fi is back up or the connection is reestablished, upload it to the system.
Okay, final question.
Sort of very short remark, very interesting what you're doing. Did you by chance come across the Literati app? Because I would recommend it to you to look into it. It's an app that is used within all Europe for litter pickers, but the voluntary litter pickers. And it has an extra which is not important now for what you are doing, but which might become important in the future. It enables the litter pickers to photograph the litter where they pick it, and that goes into a database, so you know where it is picked and what kind of litter it is, and even sometimes the company, you know, the Coca-Colas or ever, where the stream comes from. And this helps eventually municipalities to map where routes of litter and maybe make those routes different, or put devices there for people to put their litter in. So that might be an interesting extra, but maybe you should just check the app. I'll give the address to you later.
Okay, it's nice to know that something like this exists also. It's very interesting. So thank you very much for your presentation and the questions you answered. And then I would like to invite the second group over for the presentation. Okay, then I think we would like to continue with the second presentation. So we have some talks here going on in the front, but of course during lunch break there will also be the opportunity to exchange ideas, perhaps get some more tips, advice, suggestions. And then I think here's the second group, Carbon. So the floor is yours.
So, hi everyone. Now we are going to talk a little bit about the Carbon Footprint Project. So the main purpose of this program is to contribute to corporate sustainability, helping the company and the cooperatives to identify, measure, reduce, and even to compensate their carbon emissions. So talking about the why, companies lack standardized methods to measure carbon emissions, making it hard to reduce their footprint and fight climate change. This project provides accurate tools and data to enable informed decision and sustainable practices. The main goal is to develop practical tools to measure and manage carbon emissions, helping companies to reduce their footprint and align with global sustainability goals. Also give policymakers clear recommendations to CO2 and include and recognize the role of waste pickers. How? Improvement of carbon footprint calculator and strategies for carbon neutrality, analyzing data and tools adaptable for future rules and other companies. In addition, a policy analysis will be produced showing how governments and local practices in Brazil's waste sector connect with CO2 reduction.
So, as you may already know, this program, the Carbon Footprint Program, is divided in three main teams. One from Section University, another from University of Minho. The students are studying industrial engineering and management. And then we have the third team that is studying production engineering. And basically it is PASP 5 project. Now talking a little bit about every single project, I'm going to pass it to.
Yes.
So, hi everyone, I'm Maria Eduarda and I'll be representing the Saxion team in this project. So, our part of the project, we're going to be looking at the connection between the policy frameworks, the social responsibilities, and the CO2 emissions in the Brazilian waste sector. So basically, we want to understand how those frameworks and also the practices in Brazil align with the carbon reduction goals. And for that, we're going to be working together with the Portuguese and the Brazilian team to learn and get more insights on these frameworks, which are the calculator and also the GHG protocol. So our goal is basically to provide recommendation to the policymakers in Brazil so they can recognize more the work from the waste speakers, so they get proper recognition, and also, of course, to improve the CO emissions. And so what is our deliverables? Basically, we're going to create a policy analysis, so a report, and then we also aim to give 5 or more recommendations to show climate ambition, how it can be balanced with social inclusion, so giving also formal recognition to the waste speakers. Yeah. So this is our timelines. You can see how the work is going to be spread out. First, we have the research phase, where we, of course, are going to collect all the documentation and data, also conduct some interviews and use interviews from previous cycles as well. And then after that, we're going to have analysis and reporting, where we grab all those data that we collected and transform into the policy report. And in January, we aim to get, of course, validation in our recommendations. So as a conclusion, our part of the project is about a connection with the social and environmental part. And we want the waste speakers to get proper recognition of their role and also encourage the policymakers in Brazil to use more practical tools and frameworks. And I'll pass the word to the Portuguese team.
So now we're going to present the University of Minho contribution to this project, the Egalitarian project. Our main goal is by the end of the 4th cycle of the Egalitarian project, so in the end of January, to provide a Portuguese company with the necessary knowledge, standardized methodologies and decision-making tools to achieve carbon neutrality. Because of that, we decided to do 2 main products, the carbon footprint calculator and the life cycle management tool. For each one of them, we defined some requirements that the products must have, like an interactive and intuitive Excel for global use for the carbon footprint calculator, and a dashboard containing ways of dealing with different types of solid waste, a proposal to minimize the carbon footprint of the product's life cycle, and a roadmap of the product's life cycle for the life cycle management tool.
Okay, so we also made a diagram with what we are going to do in this project, which is our proposal, as well as what we expect to gain from it, which is the SMART objective that we are presenting. You can also see our 7 deliverables, and we made a time representation of the time it will take us to hand in each one of the deliverables from September to January. To make all of this possible, the Portuguese team will meet once a week.
Lastly, I'm going to talk a little bit about the UNB team. So our main objective is to try to implement the GHG protocol into a cooperative kind of way, which can be a little tricky. So this is our main challenge, trying to quantify scope 1, 2, and 3 of emissions of the participating cooperative. Our main deliverables will be a data collection sheets. So the data from the cooperatives can be a little disorganized. So the sheets is to organize it in the best way that we can. Then we'll do a protocol GHD report and analysis, trying to put the data into the protocol and getting an analysis out of it. And lastly, a report and guide of recommendations. This is our timeline, so we will have today the data collection sheets up until the middle of October, then we will put into the calculation by the middle of November, and up to the first week of December we will have the guide.
So this is basically just a summarization or summarized of the roadmap of the three teams for a better visualization. We will meet monthly, the three teams, at 3 p.m. UTC.
In terms of expected results, we have main stakeholders, which are the company/cooperative and also the universities. In terms of the company, we have some main benefits, such as raised awareness on how to reduce carbon footprints, decision-making based on important and reliable data, meeting the objectives of the European Union 2030 agenda, the knowledge on the different ways to manage solid waste and its impact on carbon footprints, the recognition of the role of waste pickers on CO2 reduction, and also promoting the use of practical tools and frameworks among policymakers. In terms of the universities, the main benefit is the access to methodologies that can be used in other contexts.
That being said, as a little summary of how our collaboration will be working, at the University of Minho, we will be working on a carbon footprint calculator, which will then be giving insights to Section University on how it can be useful at companies and cooperatives for their study. The same will be done with UNB and their GHG protocol. They will also be giving evidence to Section. For the cooperation between University of Minho and UNB, since we're both working on calculators and GHG protocol, we'll be giving recommendations to each other, so it will be a little bit easier. Also note that University of Minho will be working on a carbon footprint calculator for main products of a company. So that will be useful to then go on to a dashboard, which will be giving different alternatives of treatment of solid waste. That, combining with the GHG protocol information, will tell us how the alternative of cooperatives and solid waste speakers can be compared to other alternatives on how it can be better. So yeah, that's how our program will be working. That's our goal. And yeah, thank you.
Are there questions for this team?
Hello. What are you going to use from last semesters and how is it different?
And now they will adapt the calculator to be more directional for the products and the presentation more like a circular, to promote like a circular economy and not only for the carbon footprint of the companies. And also they will use the reports that the Minho team did about why they need to use the carbon footprint calculator and to promote the dashboard of the solid waste management and the requirements they need to have. Yes. Yes. Yes.
You mentioned about the collaboration between universities, that you would have meetings every month. And I think that's really nice, and the other group did that as well. But what are you going to do in these meetings? Because I think the point of keeping the collaboration going and the point of wanting to attend the meetings is that it's not just meetings for the sake of meetings, but that you have clear objectives on what you want to achieve during the meetings.
We are gonna changing some insights as we said it, and I think it's the main goal, and to keep all on track. I think, yeah, it's the main goal.
Another question.
Yes, you were talking about policy recommendations for local administration. I think it was in your part, Maria. How are you going? Well, and I think the same goes for the Portuguese side as well. How are you going to reach local or district authorities to make sure that they are actually are receptive to your recommendations?
Yeah, so this is something I'm not pretty sure yet, but I think with the research and all like the insights from the other cycles as well, we can, and also the help with the Brazilian team, because this is gonna be focused on the Brazilian waste sector. We can get more information in how to read, but first we're gonna focus on the content of the recommendations, and after like think how actually we're going to maybe make them make use of these recommendations.
And also make good use of the work you did last semester in the group, because you've identified very well, I think I shared it in the group, you've identified very well what is happening and what the factors are that may hinder implementation of ideas. So yeah, use that, I would say.
Yeah. So we already have a lot of insights on that, which is good.
So we have room for more questions if there are any. Yeah.
This is the problem with researchers and teachers. They always come up with a question if it's necessary. Did you already consider, I was wondering, because I think it's a very good thing to revise the carbon footprint, and as you rightly say so, this also helps to see how waste pickers contribute to lowering that carbon footprint. Did you already consider a way for them how to monetize that? Because, for example, in the Netherlands, building companies are experimenting now with CO2 certificates. And this is for organic building materials, but the same should go for reused materials. And that would be an interesting revenue model. That materials that are sourced from the waste pickers, if they are processed in the right way, you will have a product that uses less CO2 than when you have a virgin resources product, and that might be a selling point as well. So maybe that's interesting to take along. And I was wondering whether you considered that already?
Yes, I think this is like the whole point, because so the purpose is to give them more visibility and recognition using the calculators. So after we implement that and we can show evidence, this with recognition, of course, it comes reward. So that's something that we, of course, are going to consider.
Okay, thank you.
Are there more questions, perhaps? Yeah?
Thanks for the presentation. I would like to know in what ways waste pickers could be included as active participants rather than providers, data providers. If you thought about this and for future work.
I think the main response for that question is on what we're going to present to them at the end of it. So I feel like they could be very active participating once they think that this is somehow going to be good for them. That's one of the main challenges that we have, is to show value to them. And once, for like example, we can show them how they can make money out of it, they could be stepping forward in a more active way.
Questions?
Thank you for your presentation. Just a quick question, because you put that the university is a stakeholder and the benefits for the universities, but and for you, what are the expect impact in your life, this project?
So I believe making part of a big project like this one is always a good experience. So even being here this week, we are learning a lot. So we are already taking something out of this. But of course, being, for example, for the Portuguese, being directly working with a company, it's always the better experience, because it's the real world and it's a real problem that we are facing. So of course, being able to help there, it's always really gratification, make us grateful for being able to do it, I believe. So I think that's the main goal.
Is there perhaps also anybody else who would like to answer the question from your group? No, then I see another question from the audience.
Okay, congratulations by the presentation. The point is this: you have the calculator for the Portuguese company. You have numbers for that thing. You know how much does it this company is getting in terms of carbon footprint. Do you have this idea already?
Yeah, in the Copenhagen cycle, we use the carbon footprint calculator in 2 different companies.
And the thing is that, what is the expected result that you want to see? So to say to the cooperative, how much money they are going to get in using this thing? How much this thing is going to get? Okay, this is going to quantify some things that you don't know you have this money yet. So do you have any idea of how much a cooperative is going to get?
Not really. We kind of need to do a little research on that topic, but that's why we're also focusing on moving our aim to products and types of solid wastes, so we can say to the cooperative, if you could sell these solid wastes for a higher price because you're making a higher impact on the sustainability.
No, what I say is that if you know what is the result that is going to get in terms of money, they are going to be very motivated to contribute with this. So if you have some kind of number to say, okay, in a company like that, we think is going to be, what is the parameter that you are going to use to just to say to them they are going to have money in terms of the carbon footprint, in terms of money they are going to get?
We could calculate the percentage difference of the carbon emissions if they used cooperative to treat their solid waste, and then trying to find a number within the research and the papers that are available to sell them. Oh, this number will actually be like X% of money.
Okay, thank you. It was okay. Thank you.
So how to motivate and how to interest people, I think also. If you quantify things, it's perhaps more easy. Are there any more questions also? Yes, I have a question in the back, so go over there. William.
So thank you for your very nice presentation. It's focusing on carbon footprint and social inclusion of the waste speakers as well. João talked already about the question on how to make the value and revenues for the waste speakers upfront to let them know how much. But there's also a question of trust and of motivation, which is the whole basis of the successful project. And one of the things I am quite curious about, because I've seen the cooperation between universities with each other, and there are moments of meetings with the waste speakers. But how is the Portuguese company also visibly engaged with the waste speakers? Because actually those are the two biggest actors for the future. Do you have any ideas or plans for that, to bring them also together?
Yeah, and it is the answer. I think we can't make a direct link between the waste pickers and the companies in Portugal. We want to see the waste pickers as a way that Portuguese companies can consider to manage their solid waste. Maybe it's a better option than that the landfill. So I think it's...
And also provide a case study so they can apply it in Brazil. I think that's the most important part.
It sounds also like a bit like creating a network and a platform. Yeah, connecting people, companies to, yeah.
I'm not really sure how to ask or comment this, but when I look at the world, then for the last 10, 15 years, we have been moving towards something more sustainable, more inclusive, more nice. Now we have Donald Trump in the US. We have, it's very sad to say, von der Leyen sitting like a little puppy behind Donald Trump. And unfortunately, much of the legislation we saw, for example, the right to repair and so on, I think we are facing a time where things could roll back, hopefully not too much, but a little bit. Do you think that the project you do can also help to empower companies and consumers to take responsibility? So if our politicians don't take the responsibility, you actually provide something visible, something useful. That means that companies and consumers and people can take the change in their hands. Sorry if it sounded political.
I don't think we mind if it sounds a bit political.
Yeah, like answering your question, I think one of the main reasons that we are actually participating in this project is because of the visibility it has, being a project that's co-founded by the European Union. I think that's one of the things that can hopefully bring us visibility and help make a change. Yeah.
Are there any more questions for this group? If not, then I think this was a great question and a great answer also to close this part in the morning. So then I think we're heading for the lunch break. Thank you very much for your...
We're going to talk about the Educado now. Let's go. So I'm Lucas. I am the PO of Educado, and I'm going to present the context for you. So why we're going to do the Educado? It is for waste speakers with lack of in education. They have a gap on the knowledge. The program goal is to function a functional app with a single course which builds a technical scalable platform for enables use additionals of future course material. So our goal is have a RUSP, a ready-to-use product of software that has everything that we project and we're thinking to attempt that goal. And how design will develop the gamification and the app screens. We already have a guide for that, but it needs to be uploaded, and we think it more about the gamification in that cycle. So it has a little difference, and they're gonna present it for you. In the part of software, we will implement must-have requirements. So we're gonna take all the requirements that we've made the prioritization and put to in the app that we must release in the end of semester. And about the content creation, they will generate educational content, use course using a guide too. So the idea is to develop that goal with guides and guidelines and every pattern that can bring us less mistakes, okay?
Yeah, so how we'll work in this is with 3 teams, and from the design team we have here Luisa and Marie, and they will be working on designing the games and the gamification part of the application, as well as the full design system for the app that's going to be developed. And for the Aalborg University team, we will be around 50 students working on this project in collaboration to get the initial version of the app out into the Google Play Store. And then we have the content creation, which is by Enzo, and he will be working on trying out this content creation course guide that has been developed in the last cycle, and he will test to see if it needs some refinement. Yes.
Okay, thank you. Hi guys, so our full objective for this semester is to have a full set of interfaces ready. We've been working on this on the past semesters, but now we are ready to just give it a little redesign, apply the design system that I developed last semester, so we already have colors, typography, buttons, and a full set of variables that we're going to use. So first, our products is working mostly on gamification. So we're going to implement exercises through gamification and also throughout the app, which Maria will talk about it very, very soon. We're also talking about functional interfaces that focus on usability and accessibility, because we have a really targeted audience that needs sometimes a little bit of help with stuff. So just reading and having, let's say, bigger typography styles. Okay, I'm going to give you the phone now so I can talk about it.
Thank you. In terms of gamification, we would like to go for very simple exercises that will help the users to be more confident about the theoretical approach that they will be provided with. And we also go for simplicity and intuitivity, so that it will go hand in hand with the user interface and user experience.
Okay, so for our schedule, you're going to see that it's a little smaller, so I'm just going to go into a little more detail. Design is all about try and error, so we have really long lines because we work on interfaces throughout the entire semester, because as soon as the guy starts implementing, we have the screens ready, but if we need to adapt anything, I'm there and we're going to do it, so that's why it's really, really long. When talking about interfaces, we're working on that now here in September so that we can test it before implementing. So the idea is that we get a visit in Brazil to go to the cooperative, and get to test the gamified games that we create so that we're sure that we can implement it and work it. The accessibility tools will also be worked throughout the semester, but the idea here is that we get everything up and running by December so the guys have enough time to finish it and release it. Okay, there you go.
Yes, and our objective is by the end of the semester to have deployed a simple app that can actually reach the Play Store, because that's what we have heard so far, that we haven't really gotten the app out to the user so we can get some valuable feedback. So that's our goal, and what we'll deliver is, on more technical scale, is that we'll have the application itself, then we'll have a backend which will handle a connection with a third-party provider where the course material can be uploaded. And a big decision we took in this step was to outsource the third-party provider instead of creating our own platform. And we did this because we thought it would speed up the process in getting the app out to the end user and actually start collecting this feedback. So this is what we'll deliver as the AU software team.
Yes, and then we made a time plan here, which is, we didn't think it was very accurate or a great way to do it, so we actually decided to do a project timeline instead. If you could, oh, it's this one, yeah. So this is what you have right here. You can see first up here, or actually, we'll just talk about this first. We'll have weekly meetings, or every second week, where we will discuss with the different teams, what do we need from each team, what does each team need from us, how far are we in the process, are we actually on time on the different time schedules, and get some feedback on the design as well from the design team. Yeah, if you see up top first, we'll need some data from the TMS team, because they're going to get some data on the hardware specifically, which is going to be very important for how we design the app, and make sure that the app can actually run on the specific specs they have. Yes, and then we have done going to do some code-based introduction with our whole team, because we're going to be 50 software students, and what we have seen from earlier projects is that the code base is not always that coherent, so that's why we have also made a technical documentation this time along, so every team member on the software team is always applying the same form of naming and software approaches to each thing. And then from the design team, we're going to have a gamification type that we can implement. And then we'll concurrently, in the software team, work on the front end, back end, and the LMS. And then they will be connected. And then from Enzo here, hopefully, he's going to have a content creator with some content that we can put into the app. Yeah, then we'll connect everything. And then lastly, we will do some satisfaction testing in Brazil, so we can actually get an idea of how well does the app work, and we'll do some last refining before we actually put it into the Google Play Store. And the reason why we have decided to put dates on this is because it's going to be a very busy semester for us to develop a whole app. So we needed some concrete deadlines, and we think that's really going to improve the, the production of the app, and actually fast forward it a lot. Yeah.
So for the content creation, our goal is to create a full course with 3 videos, images, and touch supporting at the cycle. So our first project is the report with the analysis of the evaluate prompts, because we create the content creator standard guide at the last semester, and the content creators content creation standard guide. We have a special part for the AI support for create the course. So we need to create this report to know what's the best platform to create the scripts, to create the images, and the other things of the course. So the second product, it's the course. We create 3 videos, images, and touch support. And after develop the course, we go to operative, show the content for the wait speakers, and after show the content for the wait speakers, we collect feedbacks, and with these feedbacks, we create a final consolidation course report. With this final consolidation course report, we can evaluate the content creation part. So these steps, the first step is to create the reports with the prompt analysis and the scripts. So on the most part of the semester, we develop the course, the 3 videos, the images, the touch support, and after this, we go to cooperative, collect feedbacks, and with the feedbacks, we do the consolidation report. So
what we expected with that, it is that we have the benefits to be enabled to the way speakers learn more efficiently. So we have a simple gamified thing, a simple flux of the app, and simple things to deliver. And that's the point of Educado this semester. We need simple things to construct and deliver this app in this semester. So, with the WE speakers, different necessities of the WE speakers, the objectives have access to high-level education, users has the linear learning, and user retention crescent. The stakeholders can have teaching experience and the opportunity to build a stronger CV, and the opportunity to generate impact. What is that? Okay. So the relationship between the universities will work like that. The Aalborg is the center of the development of the app. So we need to be the center of the fluxogram, and then we work with feedback and inputs. That is, Aalborg University give us the development, and we receive this as feedback about the app, and give these answers as input for improvement and everything like that. And Saxion and UNB need to be really closer, because we need to share information about the design and everything that you're having as feedback from Aalborg. So that's it. It is the plan for Educado this semester. And thank you guys, everyone, for the work, and thank you.
Yeah,
Any
thank you for the
questions?
presentation. Questions? I see some questions in the back. Oh, I see questions everywhere, actually, but I think I'll start here. So I'll be with you. Yeah? Yes, first.
Thank you for a nice presentation. We have been working on this project for a while, and I was thinking, do you know actually how the waste pickers are interested in the app? I could imagine that if I was a waste picker and I came home at 5 in the afternoon, I would be really tired after a day of working. So would I at all be interested in learning and using the Educado app?
Yeah, we already know. Not know, but we bring this to conversation. That point, that is how to get they interested. So we have a good conversation about the software team and the design and gamification team. And you want to bring that to the discussion?
Yeah, it's just a great question, first of all. It's also been a concern, like within the team, that if you have this harder workday, are you willing to go home and still work on your education? I think that's also a point to where the gamification is very important and that it's very accessible. But if we look at it, as you say, that it has been in the progress for 8 semesters or something like that, and there's still no product. We have some research from back in the years that show that these waste pickers say that they want an app for this, but it's not always what we say that's like the truth, what we really want. So let's get an app out there to test and see if they really want it, and then we can expand on the project after that.
Okay, so I just want to complement something really quick. One of our ideas as well is to make the courses available offline. We know that the waste pickers have a really intense work, but they also get some pauses. And the idea is to make to make the app engaging and fun enough that they kind of want to do it in between breaks that they might have. So the idea is kind of, let's say, think about Duolingo. You have quick lessons, they're fun. You always want to do them. It doesn't matter where you are, when you are, what is the situation. You kind of go in the app, take a quick lesson, and you learn something. So that's the idea we're trying to bring, something that is fun and engaging enough, because we know that they want to have better opportunities and that they want to learn. So if we make something that is awesome and we put it out there, I truly think that they would be interested in it, even if it's during work or after.
Yeah, and that's also something we discussed a lot, is that when are they going to use it, or are they even going to use it? And we thought that, you know, that's why we have tried to push this agenda of getting the app to the App Store in this semester, to actually get this feedback, to, you know, decide if we need to move in another direction with this project. Any more questions?
Yeah, I have 3 questions actually. First of all, thank you for the presentation. My first question is, we've had the Educado project for quite some time now. What is the difference between the things done before and the things that you're going to be doing now?
Yeah, I can start. What we have seen is that a lot of students has been working on this, and of course everybody should learn something from this project, but it seems like it has not really been working like a coherent unit. So there's, you know, been walked in different directions and multiple directions at once, which has resulted in maybe, you know, losing track of the scope. So that's kind of what we are trying to do now, is narrow down the scope and, you know, getting something concrete. I don't know if you want to add.
Okay, I was just going to speak for the design team. Basically, the main difference is now that we have a new design system applied to the apps. So we had the screens that were developed last semester, and now we have kind of like the same set of screens, but they have new colors, new buttons, new input. So everything is a little different, and we're also implementing the game, so we're going to get the real gamification in now.
So talking about the content creation, the main difference is the content creation standard guide that I have at the last cycle. Now we have a way to follow to how create the course with high impact. So now the course can be really effective and really necessary for the weight speakers. So the content creation standard guide, it's the difference of the cycle, and I think the content creation standard guide can result in our success of this project.
So talking about management of the Educado, I think the difference is that we put some clear roles with the guidelines and the guides and everything that can straight a line or construct a street or put a bridge, that they can know where they need to pass and how they can integrate that app, because I think the communication between the teams was not so well. So I think the biggest point of the management in Educado is about the integration. So that's the difference.
I also think that in previous years, maybe the focus was a bit more on getting a finalized app out there, while as to now, we're just more focusing on getting a minimal viable product out there. So instead of spending too much time on production, we'll get the app out and then we'll get improvements on later on, and rather go to the maintenance stage instead of staying in the production stage for too long. So that's why we're pushing so much to get the app out and actually have something concrete to work on that we know is being used.
Thank you. My second question was based on the word third-party partners. How do you all plan on going about this? Like, how do you plan on getting which third party? How do you do the selection process?
I'm going to see it again. Can you say it again?
The third party organization you're going to be using.
Yeah, so we researched some different providers for a learning management system, and from our university we use something called Moodle, and we found out that Moodle is actually open source, which means it's free in a sense to clone and use. What we will try to do is to collaborate with the rest of our university and Jens, our professor as well, to hopefully host this platform on our own servers, which will make it cheap as well. So that's kind of where we've been with that, and we also agreed that if we figure out that Moodle is not the correct fit for our case, we'll have to adapt that in the future as well. Yeah, I don't know if that answers the question.
Yeah, thank you. The final one is on gamification. The information from gamification, so you'll have come to a decision saying that you'll want to use gamification in the app. How much information do y'all have from this, and how do you think, based on the information y'all have, is it going to actually fit into the app or into the entire process?
Well, first of all, I think it's a new subject for all of us, so that means that we will have to make a proper research on that, and of course, reiteration is key. So we will have to test and test again and reiterate based on the results that we will have. The goal is, of course, to complement the theoretical approach, because based on the content that we will have, we will make exercises, but the struggle, the real challenge will come that we will need to come up with a concept that will be suitable for different subjects, not only for math or history. We will have to make it suit different subjects.
Thank you.
Okay, so that was, I think, a very interesting combination of questions also. And also the link to the target group seems to be very interesting. Jos, you also have a question, I think?
Yeah, maybe after the questions which are answered already. Thank you for elaborating. Thinking it's a good idea to have such a project for these pickers. What I was wondering is getting this education up to the level of ready for higher education and for in the CVs. So are you thinking about, maybe it's a suggestion or a question, I don't know yet, about connecting it to career paths, maybe incorporate HR systems into it? How about validating what they achieved? So that could be also a point of getting them motivated into this learning system. So it's half a question, half suggestion, maybe.
We thought about this. I think we discussed it, that the I'm sorry. We thought about that. That is how to give feedback to the users and get they motivated and engaged to the app was the perfect point, because in Brazil we don't have the culture to like to study. So when we are studying, we feel like we are wasting time. So it is a difficult thing, because in Brazil, when lower you goes in the education, in the poor people and the waste speakers and the specific population in vulnerability, more that feeling gets bigger. So I think that is the principal point of this app. We need to find a way to get the people motivated and get to people engaged, like Duolingo do. That is because this is our principal reference of what you want to bring to the world and what you want to build. But I think it's a good suggestion, and we have a dashboard or something to reach this continuous, and they can contribute to.
Maybe another suggestion, connecting it to open badges or micro-credentials. That could be an idea.
What did you say?
Open badges or micro-credentials.
Okay.
So they really gain something, they can prove they did something, and can be used to prove that you're ready for higher education, whatsoever, or for a future job.
Yeah, I think you raised like some great concerns, especially the thing about the validation of whether they still have the skills or have actually learned anything. Quite an exciting way to look at it. We have already talked about giving them like certifications when they have completed a course, so they have that. But it's also important for us that it is them that gets a chance for a better living and not just for the job opportunity. Of course, that is like a very good idea to like further improve the app into that. But first of all, I think it was like the basic living that we tried to heighten a little bit.
Thank you.
I see Natasha has a question, but we also have a question in the back. So I'll walk there first.
Okay, congratulations for the work. My question is about the gamification. In the 3 works up to now, up to presentations, all the teams presented gamification. No group said what is this, how they are going to do. So, gamification for you, how are you willing to implement the gamification? You are going to say, okay, it's just one person playing, or you are trying to get some kind of competition? And you are going to, and another thing, just to complete, you are thinking having just these way speakers, or you are talking about involving the whole family?
Yeah, for the first step, I don't think has a competition, because we need to bring like the first type of gamification will be easier to test with just one people. So if we find a way to have a game that fits all courses that you want to put in the platform, and it is engaged and retained the attention, that could be evolved to a multiplayer game or something like that. But in the first step, will be a single player, so I think it's more easier to test that.
In terms of the family, involving the family?
The families could be in the step of multiplayer, could be a good idea, because I think the family in Brazil is so strong. So when one starts to do something, the other ones must follow. So it's a good idea for the multiplayer testing, use the family or something like that.
As we said, we're working with the MVP right now, but we've talked about implementing at least streaks very soon, which means that whenever you go into the app and you complete a lesson, you kind of win a streak. So you have to go in every day, and that way you can kind of compete with each other, not only in the platform, but also with your family and the people around you. We really talked about Duolingo a lot. And in Duolingo, you can have a family sharing. So that is something we can look into. So the whole family has, let's say, some sort of team or plan where they compete against each other. But this would be something after we get the product going.
And talking about the families too, the content, it's to be very near the reality of the wage speaker. So the family, it's a thing really important for the wage speaker. So the activities have talking about the family, talk about family questions, talking about society, community, families content. So it's important for us to have the engagement not only for the wage speakers, but for his family too, their family too, because the content's not for the wage speakers, it's for bring their lives. So bring their lives, it's not bring the only grow. It's necessary for the wage speakers grow their families too. So the content it's lined by this.
Yeah, and you have bring me an idea that I discussed with Halby, that is to maybe bring some courses on the content creation about how to use the government sites, websites, or something like that, like using May. People here will not know what May it is, so I will try to explain. May is like an individual enterprises in Brazil, an individual businessman that you need to use that site to deal with the government things, and it's so difficult to use that site. So it is one of ideas that helped bring me, and could be a good idea to use that for the engagement and content. Okay, I think that it is.
And complement the courses, it's needed to be simple. and it to be easy to understand it. So not only the way speakers can do the course, they sons, daughters, and the families, the child of the families can do the course too, and learning with their parents. So it's a thing we think to put on the course, and it's one of the parts of the standard guide. So it's previewed on the standard guide.
Okay, so these are also things to think about, perhaps ideas and suggestions?
Yeah, a comment that may actually connect to what you're explaining at the moment. I saw some first videos of previous groups of Educado, which I thought, wow, this is really great and helpful. And not only for their families and relatives, but I was talking to someone from a Saxion research group, and they work, research group from social work, and they work on poverty. There's a lot of people doing research on poverty. And I thought, okay, the Educado app is probably also very useful in other contexts where poverty and financial education are linked. So my question is, how easy is it to, or like, make the Educado app, if it's proven to be a good tool for people in precarious situations, how easy is it to adapt it to other languages and contexts? Or are you thinking about, I mean, perhaps you cannot answer it straight away, but are you thinking about, or it may be something that even enhances the impact of the Educado app, because it's poverty and poor financial education and complicated situations are like a problem that's in all countries, so perhaps the app is useful for so many people?
I think that point don't came in this week, but what I think is about the content is so difficult to do that because the content is totally allied to the culture and the costumes and everything that you pass in your day. But about the app structure and the idea of this, you can use for everything. Yeah. Like in that problem, yeah.
Yeah, what we also talked about, also with including the third-party provider, just on a technical level, is that it should be easy to, plug and play every type of course, and then it should be like in a standardized format that will be able to go into the different types of games or interactive courses that will be created. So it should be fairly easy to, adapt it to something else as well.
Right.
Are there any more questions for this group? Thank you very much for your presentation. Can you use that microphone?
Testing, okay. So, good afternoon, everyone. We are showing today Echolink plus Digital Mobilizer. So, I will start with our team. We have a data research team, a software team, and a marketing team. So, Juliet and Carlin will be the data research team. I will lead the software engineering team at UNB, and Anne will do the marketing and communication. So, what is Echolink? Presented to you, basically, is an app who is going to be easier way to donate properly treated waste to waste speakers firstly at the UNB, and then when we get tested and validated, we're gonna expand for using in Brasilia. So what are we doing on this cycle? We need to make a research to implement a content part on the application. So before we launch the app, we need to do a research about what we need, about the chatbot that we are going to implement. And the goal is to make the prototype of the app. We started the requirements of the app on the last cycle, so now we need to start the development. And we have also the marketing strategy we have like for us when we launch. How are we doing this? We are getting the requirements that we have, and we will merge with the research that they're going to do, and combine all of this on the application. So that's it.
Juliette and I are going to start with research. I think it's very important to get a better understanding on the way plastic is, the waste is created in Brasilia, or in Brazil itself. So that's what we're going to find out. We're going to see how the plastic is being treated, how it's getting reused, recycled, or disposed. And with the information from the Netherlands, so we're going to talk with Marloes, for example, the one I was speaking in earlier, to get a better understanding how we can actually recycle the plastic that is getting dumped right now. I think that's a very important part of Ecolink, is to actually get the data for the chatbot. So before we can even start with the chatbot, we need the information for the app itself. So you can continue the next one. So our roadmap is more focused on a plan of approach. So we will first be starting with the plan of approach to even get a better understanding of what we wanted to know and how we get to know everything. And so then we get a global view of the reuse, recycle, and dispose of plastic within the Netherlands, so we can get a better understanding of how it's happening here, and so we can implement it and how it's going to be in Brazil, and especially in Brasilia. And after combining all the collected data, we can get a good report that can actually be used for the data for the chatbot itself.
Now talking about the software engineer and design. Now we have kind of a low prototype, a low fidelity prototype on our one. The software guys did it on the last cycle, or the cycle before that. And we are going to implement that prototype as a proof of concept and doing the actual design system already. So it will be a both job. We are going to implement the low prototype, and the design team together with us is gonna making the same prototype on high fidelity. When we get the low fidelity implemented and the high fidelity done, we are just going to adapt to this, to advance on the software development. So that's our deliverables, the design system for the Ecolink, and the app, a functional React Native prototype application. So we already have kind of half of the backend developed. So our challenge now is to make the front end using what we have on the backend. That's our schedule. So we are spending September, October, November, and December doing both of things, the design system and the application. And in January, the software people is going to make the test on the application. So the functional test, the individual test, automated test, the automated test, we are going to make all the test part on the end of the cycle.
So for the last part, we have the marketing part, and I will take care of this part. So first, within the next 5 months, I will complete a marketing plan to prepare for the app launch in Brazil by creating one Ecolink branding ID. I will work with that with another girl from Brazil. A 3-month content calendar and 2 social media campaigns, and 1 EcoPoint output ensuring all deliverables are finalized and ready to implementation. So the deliverables are marketing strategy, all media outputs, and the designing. So first it's collecting all the information and make sure I'll make all the outputs and take care of the designing of that. So this is how the planning will look like. First it's conduct the target audience research. I'll take care of that in September and October. Finalize the EcoPoints branding and create a content calendar. And in the last semester, I will finalize all the products.
So we are going to have 2-week checkpoints with all the teams. We will occur on these dates. That's our diagram of how we're gonna work. We will have like a first meeting with everyone to adapt our actual requirements to support the new features furtherly, and define the design delivery schedule, because we need to talk with both of teams, the software ones and the designer ones, so we can arrange like a proper schedule to deliver everything on time. Doing this, I will update our week, because there's our backlog is over there. We'll made like an updated backlog for the software team, and we can start the development with other teams. So basically, our relationship will be like a two-handed one. They will give us inputs, and we are going to give them feedback, but they also giving us feedbacks about our inputs. So we have researches and design about the software, and doing a software, all feedback are welcome. So we are going to do this mutual thing. And the expected results for the end users is an improved understanding of the waste problem in environmental impact. As Lucas said, people don't really know about this. And credits for the uni students, because we are aiming to do this as a uni project. We have a similar one about healthcare. Was did on the pandemics about COVID. So we also have the benefits for the stakeholders. They will have the opportunity to generate impact on people's lives doing the content that will go on the second half of the project. And they will have like a valuable qualified waste, because nowadays they have much more qualified ways talking about plastic and tin cans. So it is. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you very much for your presentation. Are there questions from the room? In the room. Yeah.
I don't know if, can you hear me? Yeah, okay. I don't know if this is directly to you guys, but for me it seems like what we are doing in Educado and Ecolink is kind of something that could be put together, also with the point from Natasha with educating other people than waste pickers. Because when I talked to your group, it was educating people on how to actually sort the trash they have at home and give it in the correct ways. And then when it arrives at where the waste pickers are, then they will have an easier time sorting this out. So I don't know who can answer this, but I feel like it could kind of be put in the same project.
Yeah, it makes sense. I know what you are thinking about it and saying, but this part of Ecolink is just a module. Ecolink is a whole application. It will have like a marketplace and another things that's only a tiny bit of the product. That's why too, on the last cycle, I didn't get to the content creation part, because you are already doing this. So to avoid like doing the same thing on two projects, I waited Enzo to do the content part, and I will use it also on the Ecolink, because it's only a feature, not the mean for the whole application. Is only a tiny feature.
Good to know about each other, I think, and to exchange. Are there other questions? Yeah.
Thanks for the nice presentation. I have a doubt. How can you guarantee that the recyclables goes to the waste pickers instead of a middleman taking these? How is the situation in the eco points that that don't permit that other intermediates, middlemen, can catch the things there and use this?
Okay. We are researching about echo points. We did like the business and the viability model, and we are aiming to find a solution on the type of machine that's not that expensive, but also has like security features. Like when you put something, you cannot throw back. Just the people who is like has the kinds of password. So you to retrieve the waste from the machine, you need to put some credentials. So I cannot like put my trash and take back, because you know the students, professor, they are like just cheating. And, oh no, I donated like this amount, but they are just taking out and in. So we need a security for this. I think doing this, we can avoid this type of problem in the middle people on the middle of the way taking out the waste. Make sense?
But you know that there are a lot of people that take things and they didn't respect the proper proprietary or these points, for example.
The system itself is locked, so if you put something in, it just immediately gets smashed, gets smaller, right? They can't really take it out. So when someone putting it, it's not like someone else can just take it out again. Only the people with special passes or keys to it.
Yeah, but I think the question is also, how do you take all the very different aspects in the context, I think, into account also. So if I understand it correctly, and I think it's important to know the context very well, at least I think, probably. Are there other questions from the room? Yeah.
Yes, it has to be with the target people, okay? So the marketing could say something about what is the target. We are going to have a pilot, and this pilot, can you say something about how many people and what are the target people in the experiment?
Yes, for the app, the target audience will be the whole population of Brazil. But the small problem was that the app will only be tested by the students at school. So we will make sure in the marketing plan that we will also include the results from like the normal people from Brazil, like adult people that are not in school anymore. So we get a clear view on what they know or they don't know about wasting everything. Yeah. Yes? Or no? Okay.
Other questions? No more questions for this group? Then thank you very much for your presentation also. Yeah.